Well, I'm Jenna S. I am the manager of accounts payable at Nordstrom. And I wanted to just share, well, I was asked, but I'm happy to share our experience with the kaaspass waste tour and really the turnaround that it had in our department. So what you're looking at here is our vendor relations team, and they handle pretty much all of our supplier questions regarding payment or chargebacks, anything AP related that the supplier has a question about, they get an email. So what you can see here is our unanswered email volume on average for the month. So in February, you can see that pre-COVID, average unanswered supplier emails for the month, we were sitting at about 2,100 on average. And then as we go into holiday, you can see that that unanswered increases. That's historically what happens. We have people on PTO. We have an increase in orders because it's holidays. So then in turn, we have an increase in supplier questions, escalations. So that's just the natural progression each year. But then we found ourselves in February, March, and with the impacts of, it was kind of the perfect storm. We had COVID. We also went through a matching system conversion where we had our old 30-year matching system that worked great for us, but it was really just time to make that move to a new matching system. And by matching system, I mean the supplier sends us an invoice, our DC scans in the receipt, and our system then says, yes, the invoice matches the receipt, pay the vendor. So it really is directly related to supplier payments. So it was the perfect storm during February, March, and it really found ourselves in a pretty bad place in the vendor relations team with on average about 7,000 unanswered vendor emails in the months of February and March. And just for context, that's about 40 business days before we were able to turn around a reply to the supplier at this time. And I'm sure you guys can imagine, we're gonna then get duplicate replies because they haven't heard from us. There's now new issues that have happened within these 40 business days. So there was a lot of mess in these folders and we just did not know what to do to get ourselves out of it. So in March, we had a powwow. We were like, we really need to do something drastic. So we had mandatory overtime. We brought in people from other departments, as many people as we could, to say, hey, please just start answering vendor emails. So you can see there's a little decrease between March and April, and that really is because of that. So our team's now just completely burnt out at this point. And right around here, we were answering, with this decrease, I think we were answering emails within like still 35 business days, which is just way too long. So then in June, we attended the kaaspass waste tour, myself and a few key people on the team. And as you can see, immediately following that, our unanswered email volume was cut in half with the changes that we made and took away from that tour. And then even continuing in August, we cut it in half again. So in July, I think we were around 20 business days before we were able to generate reply to our supplier. In August, we were at 12 business days. And then as of this morning, we're actually at 6 business days before we are able to reply to our suppliers. We're still trying to get to that 1 to 3 mark, but the progress that this team has made is unheard of. So I just wanted to share this with you before going into some of the details of how this occurred and the changes that we made following the kaaspass tour. So we had our IPs, our invoice processing team. They were backlogged. They're trying to figure out this new matching system. We now have some data in our old system, then our new system. So really time it took to match just was slower. And if there's late payments, there's a vendor inquiry. We had delayed receipts at our warehouses due to COVID impacts. So if we have an invoice, but we don't have a receipt to match to the invoice, that payment never gets sent off to the supplier. Like I said, we had our matching system conversion in February, which brings obvious challenges. We were onboarding more emerging and diverse suppliers, which a lot of times those are smaller suppliers that take a lot of hand holding. They have a lot more questions. And then just longer processing or research time due to the new system. So like I said, it was a perfect storm that really got us to that 7,000 unanswered vendor emails. So then following the cost tour, we knew that we were in a dire place. Like we had to do something and we had to do it right away. If our suppliers aren't getting paid, they're going to stop shipping us merchandise. And if they stop shipping us merchandise, that's not good for the company. So we really took the lean principles that we were taught and we changed them and molded them to really work for our business. So one thing that we saw Cost do was their team cleans. So simple. For 5 minutes every day, they clean their office, physically clean their office. So we were thinking, what could we do to really mold that into benefiting us? So we now do a virtual team clean where the team is just in a Zoom meeting. It started that we did it for 2 hours a day. And in that 2 hours, our team was clearing more than they were clearing previously in the entire day, just in those 2 hours. And a lot of it is the morale was boosted. If they have a question, they can just ask the question. There's 10 other people there that have an immediate answer for them. Someone knows the answer to something. There's not that back and forth waiting time of, responses via email. And then another thing we implemented was team train. We also saw that in our cost tour. So we listed out all of our tasks. The team actually assigns themselves to the tasks that they feel comfortable training. And then each week and it's really like, you don't have to be an expert at the task you sign up for. It's more you run that meeting and then it's a collaboration with the group. Actually, as of last week, we have started sending out that schedule to other departments so that they can sign up and really listen into our team trains and get exposure to some of our processes. So that has been a huge success as well. And then the thing that we probably changed, it was the hardest change, but it was probably the most impactful, was how we structured answering our supplier inquiries. So previously it was letter driven. So let's say I own letter N. So any supplier that starts with the letter N, any inquiry I own, front to back. There's like 10 different tools that I needed to have open to get through any inquiry. So one inquiry could be a cost issue. Then the next inquiry could be a quantity. And I have 5 other tools that I need to log into. And then maybe I'm back to cost and now I'm logged out of all those tools that I needed previously. So it was really a back and forth. It wasn't streamlined. So we categorized everything. We now assign it out by category. So I say I now have cost for the day, cost disputes. So I know my 4 tools that I have up for cost disputes. Those are the tools I need for the day. I know when I'm getting into an email, I already know it's a cost dispute. I already have my decision tree of what to do. And this is down here. This is just this is definitely broken out and there's decision trees underneath all of this. But essentially we now have someone who does the data check, really just to make sure immediately, did the supplier send us everything we need to research that email? If not, that person sends it back to the supplier and says, hey, you forgot to put the PO number, or you forgot to tell me why you're disputing this. If it has everything, they send it off to decision, and decision actually has a decision tree. So if this, then this, and decision based on that decision tree sends it to action low, medium, or high. And these are time-based. So action high, we know it's going to take more time than action low. And so we can assign out accordingly. And then it's a free form email. So there's always room for something that doesn't quite go into this flow. And so we do have a separate exception piece to the flow. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, and we actually, to mention, we're evolving these flows as we go. We still have weekly meetings to go over these flows and really just make them as seamless as possible for the group. So I think that's just something that will continue to evolve and that will never stop. So, and we're still bringing other things in that the team, now that we've established this, there's other things that we saw that we're like, okay, now that we're in this place, let's do a skill strip. Now that we're in this place, let's do this. So it's really been an incredible experience for my team, and they're more motivated than ever to really get to the ideal spot that we want. So that is my story.
Awesome. Nice job.
Thank you.
We'll open up to Jenna for questions. And before we do that, though, Jenna, I'll lead it off. What was morale like, maybe for you, maybe for your teammates? How did it feel to live in the peak of the few months that it was spiking and out of control? Like, what I can tell you're sparkling now, and it's all happy and excited, which is great. But how was it during the middle part?
To be honest, the team was mentally and physically exhausted. They were at their wits, and I was too. And if we didn't do something drastic and really just completely change our processes, people would have been finding other jobs. Simply put, it was too much.
Yeah.
And not to mention, with not answering an email in 40 business days, that does not give our suppliers a good customer experience. They were frustrated. We were frustrated. It was overall a bad experience.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome, but terrible. Any other questions for Jenna?
Somebody put a note in there about the most uncomfortable time is when it's bad. My question is, how do you, when it's that bad and frustrating, how do you step back? I mean, how do you find extra time to fix things and make changes?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I think that's the thing that I struggled with the most. I wanted to not spend any time on anything other than answering these 7,000 emails that we haven't answered. And it really took a lot for me, and lower level management really helped in guiding me and saying, it's okay, let's say we go up 2 more days. They've already waited 40 days. They've probably sent 10 more emails. Let's just take a step back and change something. And I think that's, if you could take anything from this, that is one thing that probably the most important thing that I learned.
Great question, great answer.
Hi, it's Kelly. I just want to say I love that you went from an initial or a name to owning a category. That's super smart. That really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I was worried about that as well, because our suppliers, they really like having that one point of contact. Like I can always reach out to Jenna. Jenna's going to give me the answer. No, no one's going to own my account, and they were worried about it. We do have like 5 out of like thousands that people do own, but overall, the suppliers wanted us to get our backlog down as much as we wanted to get our backlog down. So it wasn't as big of an issue as we thought it would be.
Yeah, we're kind of going through something a little similar where same thing, we own our accounts basically, and we've gone to a shared mailbox. And so in our shared mailbox, we definitely have categories because we're all in there now. And part of our COTA goal is to be 2 people deep in all functions, furniture and aerospace. And so actually have Matt, who's learning furniture. And so we've been introducing him now to some other clients. And I know some of our clients are getting emails, order acknowledgements from Sarah in the line, but typically they're always talking to April. So yeah, it's good change.
Yeah.
Really cool. Any other questions?
Can I take a
Amelia's asking Jenna if they can take photos. Yeah. Jenna?
What was that?
Can people take a screenshot? Are you okay with sharing that?
I don't know, actually.
It's okay
Jamie?
if not. I just want to make sure that, if we're kind of taking this back to the team and saying, hey, this, at Nordstrom, they were able to go, you know, from 7,000 emails a month or 40 days behind to 6 days behind. It's a good visual. It's a good example.
Yeah, no, actually, I think it's fine. You know, our suppliers were aware. So I think it should be fine.
Maybe keep the watermark at the bottom right out of it. It just
Yeah,
say
yeah.
hypothetical
Nordstrom out
company
of it.
N. Yeah.
Got
But
it.
I think the graphic is cool to do. Yeah.
Cool. That's
Thank you for asking, Amelia. Yeah.
yeah, I
Thank you.
appreciate you asking.
What other questions do you guys have? For Jenna or my team, they're all kind of listening in. This is kind of basically we'll have question and answer time for up to the next 22 minutes. So the floor is yours, or we can call it either way.
How long did it take you to go from, hey, we need to make a change, to, okay, look, we've made this change? I mean, what was that period of time? I mean, it seems like it was pretty quick between June and July.
Yeah, I would say in February, we knew that we needed to make a change, and the month of March was me battling it mentally, probably thinking, well, this is crazy. Why are we taking away from answering emails and focusing on changing when there's a need here and we need to get back to our suppliers? So it looked quick between our cost tour and where we actually saw that huge improvement, but it really was months of trying to figure it out and not wanting to put in all of the work, just some of the work. And then when we really took a step back and did that, you can see dramatic improvement. So it was a while.
Anna has a question, and then we'll go to Andrew. So Anna, go ahead.
She's still having problems with her mic.
Oh, you can type it in. I'll read it. For now, we'll stick with Andrew. Do some VRs come in other forms than emails? If so, how do they get to emails? And also get sorted by category. So is there another channel besides email, or is it just straight through email?
We have a hotline, phone hotline.
Okay.
So they do use that avenue. There's definitely some repeat offenders who like to skip the line, so we say, and call the hotline. But we didn't want to take that away, which we did discuss, because we didn't want our vendors to feel even more unheard than they already were. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's not good for the relations part of that.
No.
So do you guys track that? How many calls do you get? Is that at all comparable?
Yeah. So I know we just were looking at this yesterday. In May, we were getting around 300. I think it was 350 in a month. And then this last month, it's in the 100s. So.
Wow. No, that even took it a mess.
And Jenna, isn't the phone, do you guys send the phone request to like each category, don't you know? I can't remember how that ended up.
Yeah, so if they can answer it within 10 minutes, they resolve it over the phone. If it's something that takes a lot longer, we actually have our own category for hotline calls and assign that out to somebody so that doesn't get held up in our SLA, which now 6 days is not that much of a holdup. So soon we'll probably roll those into our regular categories. And we actually, Monday, we think we're going to be able to get to 5 days. So.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The team's actually won a few awards actually for their work on getting these volumes down.
Oh, wow. That's got to boost morale.
It's
Awesome.
incredible. Yeah.
That's really cool. Cool. Well, I think that's all the questions we have, unless there's one more burning question. Otherwise,
I have a question.
Oh, go for it.
Question. I was just curious, have you been able to share this with other teams or departments? I'm sure there's other areas where they're getting incoming emails like that, customer emails or something.
Yeah, they actually had me share this in the controller meeting with all of leadership. So I have had a few other like completely outside departments reach out to me. And I've spoken with their teams and really gone through what worked for us and our success story. So yeah, there's a lot of other teams that are interested in really diving in and changing some of their processes too, based on this.
Yeah, I was able to see a video of you presenting this exact slide deck to like your whole org, which is pretty cool that you can take that back and share across different sections and silos. That's really awesome. There's a question in the chat directly to me, so I'll read it out. This approach assumes equal engagement and motivation from everyone on the team. Did you find obstacles either internally or externally with team members or managers who did not like the change to the processes or were uncomfortable? So in short, was there any pushback? Anyone that was like, this is dumb, this isn't going to work, etc.?
Yes, there was definitely. But I think we were in such a bad place that the team was open to, and one thing I did to really make it more of an involvement and created by them, driven by me, was I pretty much put the bones of our flows together. And then I pulled different people into meetings and really had the team create the flows, the detail of the flow. So they really felt like it's something they created and it's not me directing them into some change that they aren't familiar or comfortable with. So I think that helped us a lot.
Okay. The next kind of question I think might have been answered in that. There's a follow-up question that's sent to me. How did you deal with less engaged employees and get their feedback in a timely manner, especially maybe people with high, like lower down on the pyramid, as you guys call it, or with more authority, more support? How did you deal with that?
Anyone lower than me was even more excited about the change than me. So there was none of that hesitation. Anyone on the pyramid lower than me, the hesitation really came from the team. But as I was bringing them into creating these themselves, they leveled out and they were on board. It really wasn't that difficult to get everyone on board with changing our processes. And I think that really just came from a place of
desperation.
We can't move on. Yeah, desperation. Yeah. We have to do something.
Gotta start.
Not saying wait until desperation phase though.
Yeah. Good. Really good. I know that with we have daily-ish coaching cycles with Randy, who is the I don't know what his official role is, but the most down pyramid person that we work with. And one of the cycles from I think a month and a half ago was basically, I need to figure out what Jenna and her team did, because I don't quite understand what they did, but the results are showing that there's a lot of success. So it's pretty cool to hear him even reflect like this doesn't make sense, which I think tying it back to flow, like when people move to flow, like this is exactly what you should expect, is a cut in half, or remove 30% or more of time, whip, defects, increased joy, those sort of things. So it's really cool that you got his attention with this work. So nice job, you and the team. Yeah.